Rick Reilly, ESPN columnist, I can't believe he did this. So he kind of threw his father-in-law under the bus. Actually, not kind of. He totally did.
You're going to read the story, but we don't really know. Either he threw his father-in-law under the bus, or his father-in-law threw Rick Reilly under the bus. But somebody's some member of the Reilly family is under the bus.
Somebody's lying.
I certainly lean in one direction, but let's find out.
I do too. Okay, so apparently the controversy surrounding the name of the NFL team, the Washington, still called Redskins. So the father-in-law is a Native American. He's a bundle holder in the Blackfeet tribe, and Reilly quoted the father in this article. You're just going to breeze past
that like people know what bundle holder is?
Well, I don't know.
No, nobody does.
He's a card-carrying Native American. I mean, we know that.
No, he's a holder of bundles.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, it's a holder of bundles.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's how you count sticks. You put them in bundles, and then you count them by tens.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Broke it down very nicely. Thank you, Jimmy. Okay, so he says that his Native American father-in-law says, what's the big deal? It's silly. I don't even know why people are making a big deal out of this, blah, 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 and use that to support his argument that, it's indeed completely fine for this NFL team to be named after an entire group of people. The father-in-law did not take kindly to it at all and has now come out and said he doesn't know. He was misquoted, doesn't know why Reilly was saying that. He does indeed think the name is racist, offensive, all this stuff, says that his son-in-law is portraying him as an Uncle Tom, which is actually a term that we use in the black community to indicate you throwing your own race under the bus again.
So I want to give the quotes because his father-in-law really took him apart. Right, he had mentioned in his article that that his father-in-law said, "Hey, this whole issue seems silly to me, etc." Right, and so there's other problems in the country. So here's what his father-in-law says now about the article. Quote, "Let me be clear. The racial slur Redskins is not okay with me. It's never going to be okay with me. It's inappropriate, damaging, and racist." So when Reilly was like, it's totally fine with him. It doesn't quite seem that he got the gist of what he was saying.
No.
Then if that weren't enough, he continued to say, Redskins is part of the mentality from colonial times when our men, women, and children were hunted by soldiers and mercenaries who were paid for the scalps of our men, women, and children. How can anyone claim this is a proud tradition to come from? The labels, racism, and hatred of our people continue to experience are directly tied to those racial slurs.
Yes, and then he contradicts Reilly on what Reilly quoted, which was the silly part. He says he meant it's silly in this day and age that we're even talking about it. Right. Of course, the name should go. What we, of course, don't know is what their actual conversation was.
What's your guess?
In the first place.
What's your
guess?
Yeah,
what's this been?
Yeah, what's okay? A little Washington fan over here.
Story here.
My guess is that it's something slightly in the middle, that Rick Reilly wanted to start. Like he said, this is silly. He may have said there are more important issues in this country going on right now, right? But he didn't think that his son-in-law was then going to go public and make him, in his words, seem like an Uncle Tom when he didn't really flush out his father-in-law's views.
Well, I'll tell you, I think there's a definitive part of this story that makes Rick Reilly guilty. And that's his father-in-law saying, hey, listen, you got to clarify that because that's certainly not what I mean. Even if there was a misunderstanding, right? He said, look, I need you to go and put a clarifying statement in the article, ex post facto, it's already out there. It's not. Now, Rick Reilly got in a lot of trouble over the article, so I know why he'd be reluctant to do it. But his father-in-law is telling him that is certainly, at the very least, not what I meant, let alone what I said, right? And I think it's deeply offensive. Deeply offensive. It's the exact opposite of what you said, right? And Rick Reilly refused to put that in. Yeah. So then that's over. But see, he's supposed to be in some way a journalist there, right?
No, and it's a blown opportunity.
Yes.
It's a blown opportunity to write a big important article. Like, wow, I don't know, we got confused. I thought that's what he meant, but and then Rick Reilly can say, I still stand by my same point that it's an okay name. And I guess in hindsight, finding one random source is saying it's okay and deciding that therefore for the entire Native American population it's okay, which is what the Redskins, the team, have been doing for years, trotting out the same 9 guys who say it's okay. So Rick Reilly's incredibly irresponsible. This one guy says it's fine, so I guess it's good.
It's all good.
And that would have gone to actually, of course, ruining his whole article, right? But that's probably why he didn't want to do it. Not just that he was wrong on the subject, but that he was wrong on the methodology.
Totally.
Like he was saying, no, my father-in-law is fine with this, so I guess it must be fine. So because then he's got to turn around and say, my father-in-law is not okay with it, so, I guess we got to change the name. right? Because that's dumb. That's
the
a dumb
whole
way of
argument.
deciding if
or
you should
come
change
up
the
with
name
another
or
reason
not.
why you should change the name. But the fact of the matter is, there are many, quote the guys the Redskins give to you. There's a bunch of guys who don't think it, and it seems silly, and it's proud, and it's meant to write the article, but you're duty bound to do what your father-in-law requests. Completely obligated to do what your father-in-law
that's the thing.
requests.
Like, so you write. First of all, you write that article. You don't run it past your father-in-law.
Hey, I'm going to quote you on
Hey,
that.
I'm going to quote you this thing.
Right.
It's the crux
Bob.
of my argument. Are you cool with it? I'm going to bring you into the spotlight, and hey, this is what I'm going to say. Doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
He's
And
not
that's
going
why
to
we
get
know
it.
he's
Like,
guilty.
even if his father-in-law did say exactly what he says he said and meant what he meant, you still can't do that.
Because he's the
Right.
guy who was
Yes.
right. He's the guy who gets to be offended or not, so he can change his mind. Rick Reilly's not going to get any bundles
Well,
for Christmas
you're
this
saying
year.
that, but you're exactly right. No, seriously, like he's not the privilege holder in this instance,
Yeah.
you know, so you don't get to control how that comes out. I would be freaking out if somebody said anything like that I'd said against my community. Like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Even, like you said, even if you alluded to maybe a little haphazard kind of attitude about it,
Yeah.
you don't go this far.
See,
and
that's a
defend
great
it.
that's a
Yeah.
great analogy, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, this guy is not a random guy. We're kidding around about the bundle holder, but he's some representative of the Blackfeet tribe. So it's not
Yes.
like a thing you do lightly. But even if you weren't a representative of your people, let's say I'm going to write an article about something Ebony and I were saying in private,
Right.
and I thought she said, oh, the N-word's not that big a deal. If I'm going to write that in an article, right, and I'm going to say, oh, Ebony K. Williams said the N-word's not that, I would call her.
Yeah.
I would call her and be like, hey, Ebony, that's what I thought you said. Are you sure
And then
that
I
you're
have an
cool with me
opportunity
saying
to
that?
clarify,
Right.
whoa.
Yes.
Right.
I meant in this particular context.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
no, I think this is crazy. And I will say also, too, when I was reading this whole thing, I'm like, I wonder what the heck the wife feels like in this. Like, you got your husband and your dad.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what the
She must be
hell?
on the warpath.
That's the most awkward dinner ever, right? I would kill my husband if he did something like this to my dad.